Yo, what's up, man? Hector here, the Kettlebell Coach. If you're new to the channel, welcome. My name's Hector Gutierrez Jr., and this channel is all about helping men and women 40 plus build a stronger, leaner, and more capable body in less time so you can have more time to do what you enjoy. In this video, I'm going to talk about 5 guidelines or steps to a better get-up, also known as the Turkish Getup. So this video was inspired by one of our viewers. Shout out to @Chris Naidu, who is a former member of the Hardstyle Academy. So Chris, what's up, man? Shout out to you. So every Monday, I will put up a post in the community section here on the channel asking what it is that you need help with. And Chris said, guidelines to a better get-up. So I put together really quick 5 guidelines, but you can also look at these as steps to improving your get-up. So first off, why should anybody do the get-up? Well, if you live a sedentary lifestyle and you want to improve your mobility, your flexibility, and just, again, build a more connected, more durable, more capable body, then the get-up is a really good exercise to do that because there's no place to hide in the get-up. One of my colleagues, shout out to Dr. John Shireman, he said, there's nowhere to hide in the get-up. If you have a limitation, whether it's strength, coordination, balance, you name it. If you've got a limitation, the get-up will find it, okay? So the get-up, there's seven patterns within the get-up, but I like to break it down into 4 phases. Very simple. And the 4 phases are, number 1, roll to the elbow. Number 2, elbow to tall sit. Number 3, half kneeling windmill. And then number 4, half kneeling lunge to standing. And then from there, you'd reverse the movements. Pretty much every single fundamental movement pattern that we possess as humans are covered in the get-up. Now, one of the first guidelines or one of the first steps to building a better get-up that I encourage, if you're new, and even if you're active, if you've been using kettlebells for a period of time, I still recommend doing this from time to time, is number 1, set an alignment assessment. Why would we want to do that? Set an alignment assessment each and every day if you're going to practice your get-up. Every day you move a little different. Some days, maybe you've been sitting for 5, 6, 7, 8 hours because of your job, your career demands that. Maybe you had an injury in the last, few days or months. So do a daily assessment, and I'm going to give you an example of how to do that today. But doing a daily assessment is critical, so that way you can know, man, is today a good day to load my body? So in the Hardstyle Academy, we give our students a step-by-step test, retest system, so that way they can identify how are we moving for the day. Set that baseline. What it does is it's going to address stability. And I love what Gray Cook defines stability as strength with integrity under load. I think that's a really good definition for stability. So a guideline is, so during the get-up, you're going to get to a point to where you're standing overhead with your arm locked out overhead. So a good guideline here, can I align my bicep with my ear? Can I keep my shoulder, what we call a packed shoulder, so I don't want my shoulder to come out of position. Can I keep my shoulder connected? Can I keep my elbow locked and my shoulder connected? Can I maintain that alignment? Can I maintain that and keep my bicep slightly lined up with my ear, maybe even a little further back than my ear? Can you do that? If you can't do that, going overhead with a get-up might not be a good starting point for you. That doesn't mean that you can't do the get-up. There are different parts of the get-up that you can do, but you might not want to completely finish with your hand overhead. What does that also tell you? If you can't, without load, if you can't maintain this alignment, this integrity here, what are some other patterns that we use to go overhead? Well, pressing, snatching. I love doing jerks. You see my channel is littered with double and single kettlebell jerks. So if I can't maintain this without load, what's going to happen when I load myself? Well, the structural integrity is not there. So mobility and strength are not mutually exclusive. You need your mobility / flexibility to enter and access your true strength. And you need to get strong in those flexibility, mobility patterns. Okay, so they're not mutually exclusive here. So quick guideline is, can I raise my arm overhead? When I raise my arm overhead, do I need to hyperextend my back? Like if you have to hyperextend your back, so let's say my arm stops here. And if I hyperextend my back, well, now it looks and it appears as though I've got the mobility, but that's false mobility. So if you're running into, like if your back is sore after doing any kind of overhead work, if your back is sore and you're doing snatches, you're doing presses, you're doing jerks, you're doing push presses, you're doing anything overhead and you start to get a sore back, that could be an indicator that you've got some things to work on shoulder and you have a false vertical and you're actually extending through your lumbar versus through overhead, okay? So number one, can you raise your arm overhead and keep your shoulder packed and your elbow locked? That's guideline number one. The second part of that guideline is, can you do a body weighted squat without falling over? Why would we want to know if we can do a body weighted squat without falling over? If I can do a body weighted squat without falling backwards, can I do this? What I'm assessing here are my ankles. I'm assessing my hips. Do my feet really turn out really far when I do a body weighted squat? Like, do I have this weird duck position? If your feet flare out really far, then you've probably got some hip tightness, and that's going to show up in your getup. Can I keep my back straight when I sit into my squat? Can I keep my back straight, or am I completely hunched over in order to squat? Because that ability to keep that thoracic extended is going to show up in your getup. So this is just a good guideline so you can know what things need working on or what things need improvement. So can you get into a simple body weighted squat, and it might take a few minutes to get there, and you might need to move things around, but can you get into a body weighted squat and keep your chest up? Okay, because that will manifest itself when you start breaking down the getup. If my hips are really tight and my toes have to flare out, okay, if my hips are really tight, I'm not going to be able to keep my knee open. You see, what can happen here is as our hips are tight because we sit, this could fall in. You see this here? And then, look at this structure that I'm moving upon, right? So I want to be able to move my hip. Can I move my hip in the getup? And we'll know that right away by looking at deep squat. So it's just a good guideline to take a look at there. So can I maintain my shoulder packed, my arm overhead? Can I maintain that? And can I do a body weighted squat? Okay, so that's going to give you a good assessment of how are my feet moving for the day? How are my hips moving for the day? How is my thoracic area moving for the day? And if you sit a lot, then more than likely those two areas will probably be tight. The second guideline is, as you begin to practice the getup, start with it body weighted. Oftentimes, because we want to get right into the thing, we might jump right to loading our body with a kettlebell and then starting to get up from there. I don't recommend that. I recommend starting body weight. Why? These next three guidelines kind of hit this point. So number one, I recommend starting with a body weighted getup and working through the patterns. Here on the channel, and I'll put it here in the corner, and I'll also put it in the description, I covered 5 common kettlebell mistakes that you, when I say you, I don't mean you personally, but you as in people as a whole, you are making with the getup. So I cover all the common mistakes there and all the patterns. Once you do the bodyweight getup, the next guideline will be to move to a getup with a shoe or a half foam roll, something to focus on stability and focus on alignment. So something that's going to move. The reason for that is it helps you stay aligned as you're doing the getup. So example, let's say you roll to the elbow, you get to the tall sit, and as you get to the tall sit, let's say from the elbow here, okay, and you've got a shoe or something balancing on your hand. If your shoes are stiff Or if you're not maintaining alignment, if my arm stays here and I just get up this way, everything will fall. So the get up is like more of a support exercise. The weight for the most part stays in one location and you're moving underneath the weight. And then the next progression or the next guideline would be to include presses at each stage of the get up. So not only does this improve your actual kettlebell press because you're going to press from multiple different angles. So pressing from supine, okay, roll to the elbow, pressing from elbow position, tall sit, pressing from tall sit all the way up to standing. So that's obviously going to improve your press, but what these three guidelines do, body weighted get up, then moving to the get up with a shoe, and then get up with presses, this forces you to slow down. I've seen many get ups, and I used to make this mistake a lot, was going too fast in the get up. Getting here, coming up, and then being in a hurry to stand up. Take your time. This is another guideline. Take your time. Slow down, stop and look around. So when you're doing a body weighted get up, Strong First Master Instructor and Director of Education for Strong First, Brett Jones, said there should never be a time or there should never be a reason to be out of position during the get up. So when you're doing the body weighted get up, you're not loaded. So you can stop, pause, look around. Am I in alignment? Are my angles all set? Okay? Once I hinge and I come up, pause, look around, make adjustments. Are you gonna do the step over, or are you gonna do the windshield wiper where you adjust the back leg? Okay? So pause, look around, make sure everything is aligned. And if you're doing presses, that puts you in an environment or forces you to slow down. When you're doing the body weighted get up, pause, slow down, look around. Get up with a shoe, pause, slow down, look around. And it's also just really good to work on other areas that need addressing, right? So maybe your neck gets really stiff because you sit a lot during the daytime. So once you pause, you can move your neck around. Get some head nods and some head turns. That stimulates the vestibular system, which is really good for your internal balance. Look up, look down, look around, stand up, reverse the position. And the fifth guideline to a better get up is, I've said it 3 times in this video, the fifth guideline, fifth step, would be to practice daily. I wouldn't jump into right away doing a get up specific program. There are get up specific programs. If you look at, example like Paul's Simple and Sinister program is a great program. We have a full-blown course called Swing Strong that we offer, which I'll put in the description. If you want to grab a copy of that course and program, I'll put that in the description. But practice your volume daily. Practice your get up daily. That's one of our core philosophies of the Hardstyle Academy and here on this channel, practicing versus working out. If you think about what the word workout means, it means you work yourself out. But when you practice, you can develop your skills because strength is a skill set. And if you want to get better at the get up, then you've got to practice it just like you would a musical instrument, martial arts, anything like that. Writing, you got to practice those skills. You got to put that time in, right? You got to get your reps in. So I recommend practicing your get up daily and vary your volume by 20%. And the way I would recommend varying your volume by 20% would not be to set a specific number of reps to do per day. I would do it by time. So example, let's say Monday, let's say you're going to practice Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I would do, set a timer for 10 minutes and just do get-ups for 10 minutes, alternating sides, and then track how many reps that you did. Then on Wednesday, practice for 12 minutes, for 15 minutes. That's a 20% increase in volume just by time. And by default, you should do about 20% more work. We don't want to do the same amount of work each and every session because we want to be able to have some variability there, which is going to allow us to stay fresh. And there's going to be times where sessions are easy and times when sessions are difficult. That's just the nature of training. And then on Friday, I would do like 20 minutes, right? So we have this like 20% progression from the beginning of the week to the end of the week. And I would start working on just accumulating some volume there and see how well you move and how much volume you can tolerate. And I would do all of that before you even decide about moving up a weight. So if you're a gentleman watching this video and you're beginner, I recommend starting with 16 kilograms and then eventually work your way up to, over time, like 24 kilograms is a great standard to have. It's actually one of the standards for Strong First kettlebell instructors, is to be able to train with the 24 on a regular basis. If you're a lady and you're watching this, I recommend starting with 8 kilos, working your way up to 12 or 16 kilos, just depending on how strong you are. But 8, 12, or 16 are some of the standards there. I believe for female kettlebell instructors, you're looking at 12 kilo and 16 kilo. So take your time, go through your assessment each day when you're going to practice. Can you maintain your elbow locked out, shoulder packed? Can you do that without hyperextending your back? Can you do a deep body weighted squat without falling over? Can you keep your chest up? Can you move your hips around? That's going to give you a good baseline of how well that you're moving for the day. And you may be a little stiff just because maybe you've been sitting, or maybe you do your training in the morning. Maybe you need to do that body weighted squat and just move around down there. Maybe get a kettlebell and do a few goblet squats to like open up the hips and get the ankles moving. If you can do that within your warm up, then you're in a good position to start doing your get-ups. From there, second step would be to maybe warm up with a body weight get-up. And while you're doing the body weight get-up, move around, move your head, look up and down, right? Make sure you're in the right position. Get a good feel for the get-up and all the patterns that are involved, because you don't want to be thinking too much when you're moving. You just want to be able to move. And the only way to get there is by practicing and getting those patterns down. Then progress to your next get-up. Maybe do it with a shoe, left and right. Again, can you maintain integrity? Because stability is strength with integrity under load. And then start loading your get-up, right? So let's say third get-up. Get a kettlebell, light kettlebell, 12 kilo, 16 kilo, and do some presses at each stage. If you're a strong guy, 24 kilos, presses at each stage. And what these 3 guidelines do, body weight, shoe, pressing with a kettlebell, is it puts you in a position that you need to slow down and you need to take your time, stop and look around of where you're at and whatnot. And then the last guideline, as I mentioned, practice daily. If something is important, do it every day. So if moving stronger, if being more capable, if building a resilient body so you can be, life is all, this sport of life, we need to train for longevity. In order to train for longevity, which is something that's important, at least the guys that we've worked with, the ladies that we've worked with, it's important to me, being around for kids, grandkids. Like if that's something that's important to you, then I would do it every day. Practice a little bit every single day and just vary your volume by 20%. So Chris, I hope that helps you out. I hope that helps you out that's watching this video. Each Monday I do a little, I wouldn't even call it a survey, but I just make a post in the community and I'm like, hey, what do you guys need help with, either this week or whatnot. And if you've got questions, I would love to answer those questions. Put them in the comments, let me know. And if I see a common thread of questions, I'll put together a video specifically for that. So I'm not making multiple videos, but I would love to answer your questions. All right, so put those in the comments of those Monday posts. If you've got questions about today's video, put it in the comments. If you're liking this material, be sure to like the video. Be sure to subscribe. Be sure to click the notification bell so you're notified when we post again. And that's it. That's all I got. And I'll see you on the next one. Peace.